To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is the Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Shawn Whittington. I'm a seminarian in the United States Old Catholic Church, and I'm coming to you live from my haunted house, my very haunted house. Being quiet today. Might not stay that way with tonight's guest, and that's why you all tuned in. She's in the green room. I'm going to bring her right out. But thank you all so very much for taking an hour out of your busy Monday evenings to hang out with me and my guest, and it's going to be a great show. Let's check the prayer urn. Dawn M. from Indiana. Hi, Dawn. I enjoy confession. Sometimes I can't make it to church. Is there a good prayer to say before confession at home? That is such a wonderful request, Dawn, and there absolutely is. And you know what? One that I do all the time is my absolute favor. It's called the Confiteor, and I'm going to say that for you now and offer that up for you. And then if you want to come back and watch the show later and write it down, but it's called the Confiteor. Name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit, amen. I confess to Almighty God, to Blessed Mary, ever Virgin, to Blessed Michael the Archangel, to Blessed John the Baptist, to the holy apostles Peter and Paul, and to all the saints, that I have sinned, exceedingly in thought, word, and deed, through my fault, through my fault, through my most grievous fault. Therefore I beseech Blessed Mary, ever Virgin, Blessed Michael the Archangel, Blessed John the Baptist, the holy apostles Peter and Paul, and all the saints, to pray to the Lord our God for me. May Almighty God have mercy on me, forgive me my sins, and bring me to everlasting life. Amen. May the Almighty and merciful Lord grant me pardon, absolution, and remission of all my sins. Amen. God bless you, Don. Yes, that is look that up, the Confiteor, and it's a great prayer for you to say before you confess at home if you can't make it to church. Okay, let's check the Paranormal Ministry mailbag. David L. from Mississippi. I can't remember the last time I had somebody from Mississippi send me in a question. David, how are you? I suffer from night terrors. Uh-oh. Any suggestions on how to get them to stop? You know what? This hits close to home because I suffered from those really bad at one time. They've gotten a lot better, and I'll tell you what I do. Maybe it'll help you, maybe it won't. I actually take medications for high blood pressure and high cholesterol. Both of those are in control now. But one of those meds, I'm not sure which one of those meds was prescribed to me by my doctor because she also knew that they tend to help with night terrors. And so that helped a lot. But I'll tell you what else helped me a lot too. I suspected there were a lot of stored up memories from a lot of really ugly, scary cases that I had worked. To make sure that it wasn't me being visited at night by something I needed to try and kick out of the house here, um, it became pretty obvious that they were stored up memories, and I was dreaming about them at night. That's what you have to determine if these are true night terrors or if something's visiting you at night. Um, and if you did come to the determination that it is something visiting you, then you need to take action and get some clergy over there and get your house cleansed, blessed, smudged, whatever, property too, and get whatever is out there. But I also do things like I'll watch 2 hours of comedy sitcoms before I go to bed. And I try not to watch much news that night or, definitely not a horror movie before I go to bed. And there's things like that, or eat a big meal before I go to bed. There's little things, but keep me posted on that, David, and um, let me know sometime in a private message how haunted your town is there in Mississippi. So much history there in Mississippi, and so many haunted little towns. Just an incredible place in our country. So keep me posted on how you're doing with your night terrors. But talk to your doctor about maybe some meds for that if it gets too bad. Okay, if there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. And if you go there to visit, remember, my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So trust me, brothers and sisters, I know things are tough out there, but if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send our ministry in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. I'm also a certified spiritual advisor. So if you're having issues of a spiritual nature, not necessarily attached to the paranormal, and you would like to speak to me about those issues, there's a place on the website where you can make an appointment with me. But don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called the WSE course/book. On that page, you'll find the Ghost Store. In the Ghost Store, there's all kinds of cool things to buy if you go for that sort of stuff. And remember, part of the proceeds of everything purchased in the Ghost Store go to some very important charities that I support. So that's the good thing. But scroll through the Ghost Store. I'm almost embarrassed to hold my one book up because of my world-renowned, critically acclaimed paranormal author I'm about to bring out, who's got I think 25 or more books out. But here we go. You'll see my one and only haunted autobiography, God, Ghost, and the Paranormal Ministry, on there. And I quote the scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. But don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. If you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. So it's a no-brainer. You get to help some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. How cool is that? You can get the book a little less expensive at Amazon. You can buy it off of the website, and that comes to you autographed by me, enclosed in a beautiful house blessing kit. So that's pretty cool too. Um, Great time to get the first book because my second book, God, Ghost, and the Paranormal Ministry 2, Chronicles of an American Exorcist, comes out October of this year. So it's a great time to get all caught up with some stories I left open-ended that I bring closure to in the second book. And there you go. Scroll a little further down on that page and you'll see the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I'm a founding member. I offer a 12-week online college level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSE. And this is a course for all you true warriors for Christ that feel a calling and a longing to want to have more knowledge when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, making a stand, circling the wagons, and putting up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil. If that ever comes calling for you, this is the course for you. No, it's not going to teach you how to be an exorcist. That's a completely different calling. But it will teach you spiritual warfare through my eyes, what I've seen and experienced over the years. There's no course like it out there. And you can enroll right there at the website. If you want more information about the course, there's a Worldwide Society of Exorcists Facebook page, or you can just call me or reach out to me and talk to me about the course, and we'll find out if we'll figure out between you and I if it's the right course for you. Um, Most importantly, keep all of my future, current, and past students in your prayers. And remember, all of my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed gifts that you can only get from yours truly. Okay, the moment of truth, the reason why you all tuned in. I love her and respect her. She's so cool. And I just found out something that happened to her a week ago that I didn't know about. And I think I didn't plan on doing this, but I might jump right into that and have her tell us that story first. World renowned, critically acclaimed paranormal horror author, got a ton of books out. They're all wonderful. She's a psychic. She's an elite ghost hunter, ghostbuster, gives some of the most awesome ghost tours and ghost walks in her town and been doing that for a long time. People that have gone on them rave about them. Brothers and sisters, please give a warm paranormal ministry family welcome to the one and only Joni Mahan.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for having me back on. I love being on your show.
Well, listen, you always known that you're one of my favorite people on the planet, and it's been that way for a long time. But let me clear I'm going to clear two things up. I want to get into your story about something I just found out in the green room. But everybody keeps asking me about this. I've probably talked about it far too much. This project that I've worked on that's going to come out in the fall, because I told people it was going to come out in the fall of 22, then spring, and then we found out it wouldn't be till October of 2023. But everybody wants to know how I got involved in this project. So, just in case the project sucks, I want them to know that they can blame you.
Absolutely.
It's so funny. You sent me a message one day saying some guy who said he was a producer called you up and was looking for exorcists, and you gave him my name and number, but obviously he either got my name and, well, let me see. He called you and then you talked to him about me. You gave me his name and number before I had a chance to even call him. My phone was ringing and it was him, the nicest gentleman I ever met. And it was just so weird because it was like 4 or 5 levels. If I talked to somebody for an hour and they liked me, they I got bumped up the ladder to the next supervisor, and on and on and on. And after I talked to like 4 people, finally the project started to come together, and they said they wanted me to be a part of it. And I was very hesitant because it's hard to do a project about demonic possession and exorcism, and I didn't want to be associated with something that I didn't think was going to be very good. But these people were like so knowledgeable, and I could tell they were going to really work hard on it. And we've been working on it since, you remember how long ago that was, before the
Yeah,
pandemic,
it's
when you
been a
reached
while.
out to me. So anyway, I want everybody to know that you were so gracious when you got that call to introduce me to this gentleman, and a very life changing experience. And I will
I'm so
never,
glad. I'm so
I'll,
happy it worked out.
I'll never forget you for that. I just want you to know that. I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm going to get emotional, but I love you and respect you. And if I can ever, I get calls all the time. People want to know, and when it comes to ghosts and writers and all this sort of stuff, who do you look up to? Who should we contact for this or that? And you're right there at the top of the list. And so you're you're a very successful person anyhow. But anything I can ever do for you, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me and ask. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, thanks
I'm
for
gl-
having me on your show so many times. I mean, it helps me bring my work to a lot of other people as well. So, what little that I could do for you, you've done even more for me. So it works out together.
I I doubt that, but thank you for the compliment. But this is the most important thing tonight. Something I found out in the green room before we went live. I didn't know that you had a big fire at your
Well,
house.
it wasn't a big fire. It was a fire though. I'll start by saying that I live in a mobile home and I've made it really nice. I painted it lavender. It's really cute. Of course I live in, a town we refer to as Utopia. So, you can get away with a purple trailer here. And I was sitting in my office working. Something else I do besides write books is that I help other authors become published. So I will take on jobs where I format their books and edit them and upload them for them. In fact, John Zaffis called me a couple days ago, and I'm going to be doing their third book.
Oh, very
So
cool.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit, I wouldn't really call myself a publisher because I don't take a cut of their royalties or anything. But anyway, so I was working on a book for another author, and all of a sudden I started smelling something burning. And when you live in a trailer, smelling fire is terrifying because these things are tinder boxes, and you basically have, maybe 10 minutes to get out, or less than that, before, if it's fully engulfed, that you're going to perish in the fire. And so I get up and I'm walking around, and my bedroom is at the very far end of the trailer. My office is at the other end. So I'm walking through and I'm smelling it's getting stronger as I go through. And I get to my bedroom at the back, and there's smoke pouring out of my closets, which they're about 12 feet long. It's, the side wall of the trailer. And I did not know what was going on, but that fear strikes you in your heart. You see smoke, and so I immediately called 911 as I'm grabbing pets. I have 5 cats and a dog, and they are my world. They're like my fur children, and I'm on the phone with 911 telling them what's going on as I'm carrying cats out to my car. And if you've ever tried to carry a cat that doesn't want to be carried, it's not necessarily a fun experience. And they were terrified, and got everybody into the car. Oh, I should say, before I even did that, before I even called 911, I turned off the breaker to the electric. So it smelled kind of like, plastic burning. So I thought maybe it might be an electrical fire. If it was, I was going to turn it off. And basically what I did saved my trailer. Got everybody out. The fire department showed up. There ended up being 7 fire trucks show up. And of course, my friends just kind of poured out of the woodwork and were standing there supporting me. And they determined that an extension cord that I had plugged into electrical heat wrap tape to keep my water pipes from freezing had overloaded and caught on fire. And then it spread kind of up to under my bedroom closet. So smoke and fire was kind of going up that way. So they put it out really quickly. I really didn't have a lot of damage, but it was bad enough that I couldn't stay here. And one of my friends in town rents apartments. And it was just the outpouring of love I felt. Like I didn't realize how much people loved me and what good friends I had. I mean, I knew I had good friends, but when they come to your assistance like that, I mean, that's my takeaway. Not that my trailer caught on fire, was that my friends really do love me and they take good care of me, because one of them offered me a furnished apartment right down the street. The rest of them were helping me bring cats and clothes and whatever I needed over there. And I mean, they just really, cooked me dinner and, took care of me. And I'm back in my trailer. You can tell my office is my same office. So, the fire was minimal damage. I got very lucky. And I don't know what told me to turn the breaker off. I don't know why I did that. It was almost like a voice came into my head and said, turn the breaker off. And that's what I did. So, I don't know if it was spirit guides, God, angels, a relative, all of the above. Somebody told me to turn that breaker off, and that's what saved us. So, so we're back in, everything's okay. I've got some damage outside that I need to have repaired, but I just think about how lucky I am. I'm so grateful that I'm where I am right now.
Absolutely.
Joni, I love the fact that you were able to take and bring up all your friends and everything. Even though we as a country we're going through this divisiveness that we do go through, a lot of times, exactly what you said, there's, a lot of times in our times of difficulty, we do find people who are very willing to help you out. Just a quick question. Is there anything that was destroyed that you could use help with? Because maybe we can have a couple people who can offer you a little assistance in any way.
I've had a lot of people come forward and ask if they could do fundraiser for me or help me raise money. And right now, I think I'm okay. I think the damage, my insurance is going to cover it. And I mean, if I were to take full advantage of this situation, I could probably have a new trailer. But you know what? I really want to, if I get that, I want to do it on my own. Like, I want to work for it. I want to be proud that I did it, not because it was given to me. I don't know, it's just who I am. But thank you for offering. And I will bring it up if it turns out the damage was more than my insurance will cover. Then I may go back and say, "Hey, does anybody want to help out?" But until that point, I think I'm okay right now.
I know. I almost hate to ask this question, but I wouldn't be me, and I wouldn't be doing my job very well as a host if I don't ask. You are very psychically gifted. I know you like to play that down, but I know you are. You have a ghost posse because you've been doing these successful ghost hunts and ghost tours and paranormal investigating some of the most haunted locations in our country for a long time now. Uh, do you suspect parafoul play with the fire at all? If that's even the
Well,
correct word?
another one of my friends brought that up. And what's funny is maybe it's because I had just a few weeks before that, I went outside and discovered that my car light, dome light was on and my battery was dead. And I don't recall ever having that on. And a friend came to jumpstart the car, and apparently it blew a fuse. Well, I didn't know that. And I don't know. I signed up for AAA pretty quickly, but they make you wait a week before you can actually use the towing option. Because I don't live anywhere near a garage, so it had to be towed a substantial distance. So my car actually sat in my yard for a week before we could tow it off. And then it got there and it was just a fuse, and it was a quick, easy fix. Like, this is the second thing that's happened to me that felt like it was really horrible and it was going to be really damaging, and then it ended up being not as bad. So I don't
Well,
know if
you know what's
something's
funny? I'm surprised you don't get more of that more often because I remember even like Annette at Stellium Books has told me even like my first book, the apparent when she was editing it, the paranormal activity was off the charts in her home. Not so bad with my second book, but she has published many other paranormal books and has had that with some of these books terrible paranormal activity in the home while editing it. And I know you've written so much, and with this helping out other authors, I'm surprised it doesn't happen to you more often.
it's funny. It has happened to me quite a bit. I did just finish my 25th book, which is fiction, like 2 weeks ago. So I just finished that, and it was a pretty terrifying book as well. But the book that I had the most problem with things coming at me was actually coming back into some interest is Ruinous Souls. And I believe that was 2015 that I published that. And that is the story of Shaman Michael Robichaud. And it's 13 of his most extreme cases. And he didn't tell me anything about the cases, nothing. He just gave me a list of names and said, here's some people that I have helped, call them and get their story. And I started having extreme paranormal activity, especially one of the people in the book. I got to the point where I just finally said, look, every time I talk to you, something pops through the phone into my living room, and it's terrifying. And then I have to contact, Michael, the shaman, to help me get rid of it. And it was awful. Just every story was so severe. And I was getting so much activity. But it's like when you have bad news come to you, sometimes it's followed up by good news.
Yeah.
And I just recently had a producer contact me about Ruinous Souls,
Okay.
and she is looking to shop it to a network for maybe a series.
Well, very cool.
So yeah, Crazy Dead People. That's my fiction series. That's my favorite. Like, you want to read anything I've written, read my fiction. But yeah, there's all my books. But so and she said, "Has no one ever contacted you about turning your books into movies or television shows?" And I was contacted by like Paranormal Witness and A Haunting, and it always came down to it wasn't exactly what they were looking for. So, but never a TV or a movie network coming to ask me. There's Runa Souls right there, and that is the scariest book I've ever written. Those stories in that book are terrifying. Um, but so there's a very strong probability that this may be the big break that I've been waiting for, um, my whole writing career, waiting to have somebody take my books and turn them into something for the big screen or the little screen or any screen,
Absolutely.
really.
Absolutely.
Just to get the information out. So I'm hopeful about
I
that.
am too. I will say a prayer for you later on
Thank you.
after the
Thank
show
you.
that comes to fruition. That would be very, very,
Yeah.
very cool.
And that could really elevate. I mean, it could mean, authors don't make a lot of money. We're not like, Stephen King, sitting in
Yeah,
our castles. Most of us, have other jobs that we do besides writing because it's hard to just maintain a lifestyle, any lifestyle, even a meager one on a writer's royalties. So that could really make a big difference. So I'm really hopeful. Okay, fingers crossed.
yeah, definitely. And I will say a prayer later. I know this is kind of off topic, but you mentioned getting all the animals out of the house. I always fear that too. It's like whenever my wife and I go away, I know that if I don't lock my mastiff up in her kennel, which is huge, it's like half the size of a bedroom, that I won't have a house left when I come home, even if it's just a couple hours to watch a movie, because she's got terrible separation anxiety.
Oh,
Because she's never alone. My
yeah.
wife works nights. I'm sorry, I work nights. She works days. So there's always somebody here with her. But if we go out to dinner or go out to the movies or take a nice drive on a Sunday out to or out into the desert looking for ghost towns or something, and we're gone for a few hours, if I didn't kennel her up, there would be destruction. But you mentioned cats. Now here, this is funny. I'm stalking you, and also I want to tell people it's my job as a host to make it as easy as possible for people to stalk you and harass you. So if somebody's in the mood to do that to you, your website is jonimayhan, all one word.com. But you have two wonderful Facebook pages. You have the witness protection profile, which is Joni Mayhan, Joni Steerley in parentheses.
Yeah.
Then you have Joni Mayhan dash author. So wonderful Facebook pages. If somebody is on Facebook and wants to look you up, and then it's easy to go to your website. But
I also have Instagram. I'm also on Instagram, and I've been doing a lot on TikTok too. I've been putting up a
really,
lot of videos on TikTok, probably more than on Facebook. So, and it's just Joni Mayhan 933 on TikTok.
you like TikTok?
I do. I like the format. You get to look at whatever you want to look at. Like if you want to get away from politics, then um, you just follow like I do. I follow a lot of homesteading and chickens and goat people and I don't know, home improvements and stuff. Totally opposite of what I put out as content, but I do put a lot of pet content out. So
That's very
that's
cool. That gets to my question here. I'm stalking you for information for tonight, and I didn't stalk you much. I figured I'm just going to throw a couple of questions at you, maybe a couple of questions sent in to me from some of your fans and followers. But I'm going through your pictures and stuff, and I'm really being nosy, and I'm like, she took a pic. Did she go to my website and get a picture of one of my cats? Jack
oh
is the splitting image of our cat Hutch.
oh
We
no
have
kidding.
Yeah, we have the father and four of his sons still here living with us, and then a little kitten that's now big, but a little kitten months after these four were, terrorizing the neighborhood. This little kitten showed up on our doorstep. They all took it in, they protect it, and then now that kitten's big. But one of the cats is the splitting image. I'm serious. I thought you had gone on my website and took a picture of my cat and shared it, like because you love cats too, and you decided here's a friend of mine's cat, And then when I read that it was your cat, Jack, I'm like, oh my gosh. I even showed my wife, and she said, when did Joni get a picture of our cat? I'm like, that's her cat. I mean, they look identical. It was just the
Wow.
funniest thing. But we are the father, who we think is Maine Coon mix. He's huge, long hair, black and white. We call him. He looks like he's wearing a tuxedo, so we call him Tux. Must have gotten in a terrible fight with one of the other neighborhood males that roam around, not in our yard, but sometimes they come and visit and see what's going on. And he's very protective over his sons, the kitten, the once kitten, and our yard. He must have gotten a bad fight, and one night, I don't. We Sharon says to me, "When's the last time you saw Tux? It's been a few days." I'm like, "I know that's really weird. I hope he didn't get shot or get run over by a car or something." And then all of a sudden he showed up, and he's being very distant, didn't want to come near us or anything. And finally, one night, I'm shining my flashlight on him, and I only see one eye shine. So I'm like, you know what? When it gets sunlight, I'm gonna have to go out there and try and find him, see what's going on with him. Luckily, I did, because he must have gotten a bad fight, and his right eye is about out the socket, and it's all covered up with scarring and blood and pus coming down his face and stuff. And I know it's a little bit graphic, but I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get a hold of Tux? Because he's like your cats. They're feral, but they love us, and they let us scratch them when we feed them. But it's a fight if you try to grab one and pick him up, except for the kitten. So I'm like, how am I going to get him? Well, I had to wait like 2 weeks, and he's getting worse and worse and worse. I'm like, what am I going to do? So one morning, I started lifting the blankets up off the front of their carriers, because I took the door off their carriers, and there's all these carriers in the front yard, and they sleep in them. I'm like, one morning, quietly, when I go out there to feed them, I'm going to take a peek in these carriers, and if I see them in one, I'm going to shut the door. So I had to put the doors on all the carriers. Sure enough, about a week later, one morning, I sneak out there really quietly without the food, and I peek in this one carrier, and I see him in there. I shut the door, lock it. He just looks at me like, ah, you got me. And then another little face pops up as one of his sons. I'm like, ah. But I wasn't going to open the door and try and get the son out. So I took them both into the clinic we work at, and they ended up having to remove his eye. And now he's like doing so good. He's like running around like a kitten, eating great, loving life. So I'm like that too. I for days I couldn't sleep, because I was just so worried I'm going to walk out there and find him dead. And but you can't just pick the cats up. Um, so you were lucky to be able to get them all out of your house like that. What about your dog?
Oh, she was excited we were going to go for a ride in the car. She the dog was she had no problems with anything we did. She thought it was a great adventure. The cats, they're my babies, and they were terrified. The smoke detectors are going off, the house is in chaos, filling up with smoke. And of course my energy was probably, well, it was definitely, anxiety laden. So they were picking up on that, and I caught 4 out of the 5. I couldn't find one of them,
Oh no, have you
and
found them since?
I did finally find her.
Oh,
And
good.
she, once the fire trucks drove away, then she came out of hiding, and I was able to grab her. So
Do you know this is a weird question too, but you're on a trailer. Do you know the any history of the land that your trailer's on? Because in
yeah,
your neck of the woods, there's a lot of Indian land.
yeah. The Native Americans were here. The Woodland Indians were here about 2,000 years ago in the whole area. They hunted and lived here. Um, my land, there was an old house here, and it was torn down probably about, I would say maybe 15, 20 years ago. And then someone pulled this trailer onto the lot, and I bought it almost 7 years ago. So, and I made a lot of improvements to it and to the land, and it went from looking like, an abandoned trailer to, it looks really cute now. I have a lot of flower gardens around it and bird houses, and it's just
That's cool.
it's like a cottage, instead of a trailer. So
So cool.
but yeah, I mean, there were definitely things here when I first moved in. There was a lot here.
Let
but
me
we work.
ask you, you're not in clergy, and you probably have a much different um, look and approach to this type of thing. What do you do? And I get this question a lot, so I'm interested to find out what your answer is going to be. What do you do when you decide it's time to smudge, cleanse, bless my trailer and the surrounding land and stuff? What do you do?
Um, I believe that just stagnant negative energy can build up over time, and I think it's always good to do a smudging. And I will burn white sage, and I will just walk around and I'll fill the house every corner. And I will just say, I fill this house with positive energy. No negative energy may remain. And I just go all the way around, and then I stub it out on the doorstep and open the door. And that seems to kind of help. But then, then you've neutralized it. So now you need to fill it with love and light and happiness. So then, then you set apart playing music, or, just filling it with happy vibes. And if I have a negative ghost in the house, typically, um, I talk to a lot of them. When they come through, I talk to them like they were people with an issue, and I try to get them to cross over and to move on to heaven on their own. And sometimes they will, sometimes they just have a message. They're very sticky, and so that's when I call Shaman Michael Robichaud. He's kind of my go-to, and he will, he will send in his spirit guides, and they'll cross them over gently, or if it's something negative, then maybe not so gently. But he gets them out of my house. So I do have some assistance there. And it's a nice safety net because I am a ghost magnet. Things do follow me. Things come
Absolutely.
through.
Yeah.
I was a co-host on a paranormal podcast for about a year. And I just kind of had to stop doing it because every time a guest came on, they were all in the paranormal field. And, some of them, were people that had been on a lot of shows and stuff. And every week I'd have a new ghost come through, like they were popping through. They'd see my energy and, follow the energy cords. And all of a sudden I had a ghost. And it just got to be old after a while. It's like Ghost of the Week Club.
Yeah.
So, I'm still learning how to deal with that. I feel like there's a reason why I am the way I am, and I just haven't uncovered it yet. Perhaps the reason is that it forces me to study the paranormal. It forces me to come up with different ways for paranormal protection or, communication. I don't know. I haven't found out yet. Hopefully I will eventually.
Well, I mentioned in my opening you've been doing ghost walks and ghost hunts in your town there for as far back as I can remember. And I have talked to a couple of people who have gone on your tours that just rave and rave and rave about them. So this is a two-part question. I noticed I want you to introduce anybody who's got the ability to travel or near you already that loves to go on just great ghost walks or great ghost hunts. Introduce your business, the ghost walk and ghost hunting business that you do, and what they can expect if they come out to see you and sign up for it. Then I want to talk about this jumped right off the page at me when I saw it. You've got a new event coming up. Well, this is another two-part question, but I'll wait on the second part. I want to know about you've got an investigation coming up at a location that's already the first event sold out. So you had to make a second event. And in one of these events, you're even going to train people how to do properly do EVP sessions
Yeah.
on equipment. So talk to everybody about that.
Yeah. And remind me that we have a question from the chat room too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the second one. So, yes, I have introduced paranormal investigations kind of to this area. Some of the people will go travel somewhere to go investigate, but New Harmony is so haunted that it's not hard to carve out or find different haunted locations and hold public events. And I just had one in January at an old 1830s house, which is now the home of Lowry Hollow gift shop, and that one sold out. So I thought, well, people are interested in this. They have a lot of fun, and I have a great team. like we've done these so many times that we don't even really have to coordinate. We just all go to our spots and do our thing. And Orchard House is a really fascinating house. Like I still have spots for my March 18th event. Um, the first one sold out in 4 days. So I set one up March 4th and that sold out almost instantly. So I set up a second one. And the Orchard House it's another, it was built in 1860. And I believe that this house was part of the Underground Railroad because a couple reasons. One, the proximity to the river. There used to be nothing but orchard between that house and the river. And also because there's a hidden room. Inside one of the upstairs bedrooms is a built-in cabinet. And if you open one of the doors on the cabinet, there's another door inside of it that leads to a room with no windows that would be big enough to hold maybe 20 people if they were sitting close. So the vibe in there is very interesting. It's very haunted. It's not negatively haunted, but enough so that they do communicate. We've rented it once before, a couple years ago, just for something to do. And we're really astounded at how active it was. And we were hearing footsteps and voices and all kinds of things. And we got great EVPs. So we decided that we're going to open it up for a public event. And I'm really excited. This house looks haunted when you look at it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a big like colonial house, and it has some wear and tear on the outside. So it definitely looks the part. But we talk about it on my ghost walk. I have 2 ghost walks that I do in New Harmony, Indiana. And one is the original ghost walk that I started 6 years ago. And the other one I started last year. It's called the Dark Side Ghost Walk. And it goes to an area town that isn't lit by streetlights. So it's darker. And the Orchard House is on that ghost walk. And the very first time we did a ghost walk past there, one of the guests came running up to me after we'd walked past the house, and he said, "You're not going to believe this, but he was at the very back of the group. He said, as I was walking around the corner, he said, I looked over and there was a woman standing in the corner window, staring at us." And he described her, dark hair pulled up into a bun. He said she had on a light blue dress with kind of a ruffle around the collar. Like he really described her completely. And so, hopefully we can communicate and try to figure out who that woman was during our investigation. But we always have a lot of fun. We always do something different. So we divide our groups into 4 groups, and we have 4 zones. So everybody will end up going from one zone to the other. And in my zone, I work on, it's not even a ghost hunt in my room. I talk about psychic development, and I work with them. Like I'll say, okay, a ghost just came in the room, and they all had pencil and paper. And I'll say, what do you think it is? I'll say, is it male or female? Don't say it out loud, write it down. And I did this at Lowry Hollow, and it was so amazing how many people really, when you just think about the first thing that comes to your mind, you write it down, how many people had exactly the same thing that I was picking up.
Wow.
So they walked away like scratching their heads a little bit. So then the next group they may go to is Tracy was doing the Estes method, which, they use a spirit box connected to headphones, and you wear a blindfold. And people in the group ask you questions, but you can't hear them. And you just say out loud what you're hearing. And we had several guests do it, and it was pretty phenomenal. We picked up some very valid information. And then the third group, Rick was using dowsing rods and teaching the guests how to use dowsing rods and passing them around. And then the fourth group, we were using the portal or a spirit box to communicate. So they had 4 completely different experiences. Each one was a half an hour long, and had a chance to really learn different aspects of ghost hunting that don't involve like what you see on TV. So we have a lot of fun.
That's so cool. I have to ask you this too. Um, I get a lot of up and coming new teams, and you mentioned your team that approach me and want to know how should I, I'm the leader of the team and I'm relatively experienced. These people that I've hired, not hired, but I've taken on as team members have no experience, and I want to know what I should do to train them. What do you think about cemeteries? And I see this beautiful. You first of all, you take wonderful pictures. I don't know what kind of camera you got, but you've got this wonderful these pictures of, and I wrote it down, Maple Hill Cemetery.
Yeah.
No place has cemeteries like your part of the country. So I see that. What is what is your opinion about training or just ghost hunting at cemeteries?
You know, I really they're accessible and they're easy to go to. And when you're starting off, you don't have access to a lot of locations. So I think that's kind of where we all start off. But I don't really think that the people that are there are always connected to their dead body. Like I think if they're going to haunt something, they're gonna stay around the family home or the family, or something that where they found pleasure. I don't think they have that much of a connection to their coffin and their body. I think what lurks in cemeteries is a lot of dark energy, knowing that people are coming for that very reason. And then I also kind of worry about, I don't know. I love cemeteries. I just love the serenity there, and I always feel safe there. But I don't really usually ghost hunt. I don't know. It's what you make of it,
Yeah.
how you treat it. If you go in respectful, I think you'll be okay, but you have to be watching out to make sure there isn't something dark hiding there. Some cemeteries do have dark energy.
Well, I don't know how many years ago this was. I don't know when they first came up with city parks. There was a time where there was no such thing as the city park. And back in the day, 100 years ago, maybe not that long ago, that was a big deal on Sundays after church. Families would go and have picnics at the cemeteries and sit
Yeah, yeah,
on where their loved ones were
absolutely.
buried and have a picnic with their loved ones that had passed on. Pretty amazing. And then eventually, I don't know why they decided to go with the city parks and get people away from doing that at cemeteries. But I thought that was wonderful.
Yeah,
Um,
I do think I love cemeteries. I just love looking at the stones and reading about people's lives, because that may be their last acknowledgement on earth. Like a lot of their history's lost to time, their families died out, and all that's left of them is what's written on that stone. And I just try to honor that. Sometimes I'll look them up and try to learn more about them. And Find a Grave is a great website for that. Sometimes you'll find out more information, or sometimes I've actually gone to our county historian and asked questions. And I don't know. It's just fascinating to me. I love history. I love the history, the local history. So I'm constantly getting into that. Somebody had asked if any of my books are on Audible or on
oh
audiobooks.
yes, I'm sorry. Please let's Zach, if you don't mind, let's see that question again. I forgot that we had a question. I'm sorry.
We had two questions. So yes, I have 5 books on Audible. Bones in the Basement, which is my haunted house story about the Victorian mansion in Gardner, Massachusetts. Hanover Haunting, which is another haunted house story, is on there. Signs of Spirits, which is when loved ones come back. That's one of my popular books. That's on Audible. And then both of my books, my first 2 books from the Shelby and Fugly Paranormal Thriller, are on Audible. So, and I would like to add more to it. I just haven't yet.
I know that a lot of Shawn's guests, a lot of the people who come in and ask questions, in which Kelly Elliott, who's brought up the next, it's more of a statement than it was really a question, but she likes to communicate with families. And I was just going to ask you, you do have a book about communicating with families, and what is, like, when you wrote that book, what was the purpose of writing that particular book? Was it that you lost somebody and you really wanted to make sure that people understood how to reach out to them? Was it a question that was posed to you quite a bit? How did that subject come out? Because it seems to me that that's one of the subjects that a lot of people have the question. Hey, I lost mom. How can I talk to her?
Right. Yeah, I had an experience when I was 6 years old. and it really stuck with me. My grandmother, who I was very close to, passed away in her sleep. And a couple of days after her death, I had a dream, and it was unlike any other dream. And the fact that I still remember it like it was yesterday says something as well. But in the dream, my mother and I went to her house to clean out her closet to give clothes to the Salvation Army. Well, at 6 years old, I wouldn't have known that, to have a dream about it because we had never experienced anything like that before. But as we walked in the house, my nanny was sitting on the couch, and my mother didn't see her, went right past her, walked into the bedroom to start working. And I saw her, and I went and ran and jumped on her lap and gave her a big hug. And I said, Nanny, Nanny, I thought you died. And she said, I did, but I couldn't leave without saying goodbye to you. And and then I woke up, and I swear every time I tell that story, I get head to toe goosebumps because it feels like she's giving me a big hug. And she's been with me my whole life, and I feel her from time to time. And so I used to write articles for a website called Ghost Diaries. And I wrote an article about signs of spirits, and I don't remember what it was called, but it went viral. It was shared over 1 million times, and
Wow.
I don't know how many times it was viewed. Um, so I thought, people really want to know about this. So I posted the question on Facebook: have you had an experience with a loved one coming to visit you? And I got so many responses, and I interviewed so many people. And so I took their stories and I put them in the book, in the categories of ways that you might feel your loved ones. And I think it's really opened a lot of people's eyes because somebody they love and hoping to get a sign for it from have been actually coming to them, but they're not paying attention to the signs and they're not seeing them. So, once you start paying attention to those signs, then they'll start giving you more. So it's just being aware of them and knowing what to look for, and also knowing what not to look for. Like, if you start seeing ladybugs in your window, in March, that's just something that happens every year. It's not necessarily a sign. Or robins in your yard,
Yeah.
every cardinal you see out your window is not your loved one. But I get a lot of, it's funny. One of the signs that I have been seeing probably for the last 10 years is a bald eagle. So every time it seems like I'm going through some kind of situation where I'm questioning whether I'm making the right decision or not, I will see a bald eagle swoop down like unexpectedly and very prominently, almost like they're saying, hey, here I am, notice me. And I just had that happen the other day after the fire, and after having the producer contact me, I had one of those, and I thought, okay, everything's going to be okay. I'm going to soar above my problems. One of my loved ones is coming to tell me, it's okay. Just trust the process, and it did. It made me feel good. And so since I pay attention to those things, I get a lot of those signs. Somebody else one woman in the book would find dimes in weird places, or pennies from heaven. People find pennies. One person would find a lot of feathers and weird, it can't just be a normal thing, but, like if, you get up one morning and there's a feather on your pillow and you don't have a feather pillow, that might be interesting.
Yeah.
So, just some really wonderful signs, but I think dreams are a big part of it. A lot of times people have dream visitations, and it's not just a dream about the person. It feels more like a memory that it does a dream. So, I've had a couple of those over time, but the one with Nanny is the one that stuck with me.
This is
We got
one.
another question.
I have a lot of paranormal activity. Hi, Kelly. I have a lot of paranormal activity that happens in my house, and it's a brand new house. And I think it's connected to the land, and I've definitely got some kind of gift because I can hear ghosts. I would say Kelly's
Yeah.
got gifts.
And Kelly is from the old country. Kelly's from UK, I'm pretty sure, if I remember this correctly. So, that land has a lot of history right there
Oh, yeah.
anyway. So, there's probably not anywhere where you can go where there hasn't been,
Yeah.
uh, uh, a lot of history. So,
Well, and I mean, the whole world has history, like, we had a Dollar General open up here a couple years ago, and it's haunted. They have weird activity there, and everybody's laughing. They're like, how can a brand new Dollar General have a ghost? And it's like, well, look at what was there. The land holds on to this memory. It holds on to the information. I mean, these ghosts may think they're still living in the house that was there, or even before the Dollar General was there were Native Americans living there. People farmed the land. You know, the land remembers, and it records this information. And she's hearing them. Kelly, you are gifted, and you can choose to work with it, or you can choose not to. I just do warn people, if they're trying to expand their gifts, that when you're able to communicate or feel them stronger, they also become more interested in you. So think long and hard before you get into something like mediumship and really expand it, because it does come with some baggage. I'm not saying I would do anything differently than what I did, but when I started really trying to expand my abilities was when I started becoming a ghost magnet and having something terrifying in my house a lot. So, give it some thought, but, do a cleansing of the house. If you think it's Native American, sometimes if you make an offering, you plant a tree, or, just do something, have someone of your clergy come out and do a house blessing. There's just so many different ways that you can go about it. But, I do a lot of walkthroughs of houses that people think are haunted in this area. And I'd say 90% of them are just people that live there, and they don't want to hurt you. They just want to hang out. Like if you're doing something really cool to their house, they're like, yes, this is great. Or if you're tearing down grandma's wallpaper that she loved, then they may be a little upset. So,
Yeah.
you just talk to them and tell them what you're doing. Like, look, I don't really, this is lovely wallpaper, but it's not really my taste, and I'm going to put something different up. And, hope that we can, you can handle that. Or, it's just communication. So,
Well, I know better than to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it anyhow. Did you have fun? Will you come back?
oh, absolutely. Of course.
I already know what I didn't get to this one. I'm not even going to ask you this question because we don't have enough time, but I have another show I want to do with you because I think it's right up your alley and the topic is perfect for you, but we'll go over that. I'll probably have you back in the summer. I'll try
Okay.
and find a time when you're not too busy with the ghost walks, and we'll talk about this other topic that I want to do a whole episode on, and I think you're the
Excellent.
perfect person to do it.
I'm
With.
in. I don't
I
even know what
love
it is.
you. You know I love you and respect you, and I pray for you. I'll pray for your success. I think
Thank
you're already
you.
very successful, but I will pray for that. And you have a great remainder of your Monday evening, and give all your animals a big hug for me, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Very good. Thank you. You have a great weekend, a great week, and we'll talk again.
Thanks, Johnny. I'll see you later.
Bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
All right, brothers and sisters. Don't forget this Wednesday night, or this actually Wednesday morning at 1 a.m. in the morning. Come over to Pact, little P, capital ACT, Podcasting for All Coming Together channel for the 22-hour straight broadcast to help with vet suicide. I'm the first guest. I'm here this coming Friday with another brand new show. Oh, you're going to love her. You guys all know her. Heather Lee Landon, paranormal investigator, ghost hunter, ghostbuster, author, teacher, you name it. She'll be here this Friday, the 24th. Thank you to Zach and Adrian Clayton, my co-producers, for doing the show. I couldn't do it without them. Communitypayitforward.us. Communitypayitforward.us. Go there. Shop. Buy something. Everything you buy goes to help somebody that's really in need. USOCC.org, the church that I belong to. Go there if you're interested in finding out more about the church I belong to. If you're interested in Bible study, which is Wednesday and Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Pacific, or night prayer, which is every weeknight, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific, go to bishopjameslong.com. Scroll down to the bottom of this homepage. The links to those are there. Thank you to Things Network. Thank you to Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. Thank you to Skeleton Key Network. Thank you to Pact, Podcasting for All Coming Together channel. For all of these places, networks, simulcasting my show, and BeInspiredRadio.net. BeInspiredRadio.net. That is Chicky Hotz, the rock psychic. That's her network. She re-airs episodes of my show all day long on Saturdays. If you miss one and you want to go there, and she's also got a lot of cool shows there on her radio network too. Okay, it is bad joke time. I'm going to pull a bad joke that one of you sent in out of this haunted carnival barker hat, and it's my poor attempt to put a smile on everybody's face before I say goodnight. Rest in peace, boiling water. You will be missed. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. God bless you all. Peace.